Hey guys, quick disclaimer. The Nosy Hens podcast talks about content that is not suitable for children and might bring you some discomfort too. This includes violence and abuse of all kinds, strong language, and graphic descriptions. Listener discretion is advised. Yo, here we go.
Hey.
What you know?
Hey. It's the Nosy Hens podcast.
Hey! Hey!
Oh!
Hey!
Oh!
Yeah!
Oh! Oh! Woo. Oh!
Hey!
Woo. Oh!
Hey!
Oh!
Hey!
Woo. Hey! Hey! Hey, y'all!
Hey.
Welcome to the chicken coop.
Hey.
Hey, y'all!
Hey.
Welcome to the chicken coop. Hey, y'all! Welcome to the chicken coop. Hey, y'all!
You know we don't give a cluck.
Hey!
You know we don't give a cluck.
Hey!
You know we don't give a cluck.
Nope! Hey!
It's some roosters in this.
Hey!
It's some roosters in this.
Hey! Cluck, cluck,
Where
bitch!
the hens
Cluck,
at?
cluck, bitch! Cluck, cluck,
Where the
bitch!
hens
Cluck,
at?
cluck, bitch! Cockle doo doo doo! Cockle doo doo doo!
And y'all have been entertained for the entire day.
Yeah, I'm out of breath.
I am too.
You could,
We was getting it in.
yeah, I gotta do that. Look. That pain when you're out the air, when you're
Right.
out of all the air, and you gotta act like you're not out the air.
Right. Welcome to the Chicken Coop, y'all. You listening to the Nosy Hens podcast.
Y'all, and guess what?
What?
It's a new dawn. It's a new year. It's a new
Season.
yes for
For-
us.
Yes.
Yes.
And we feeling good.
Burn. Y'all, it's a new season.
Season 2
Yeah.
of the Nosy Hens podcast. And we had a pretty good first season.
Yes,
Now, we did have some growing and learning pains.
as we still do.
Yes.
You're never done learning.
No.
You're never
So
done
this is an
growing.
encouragement to all the fellow podcasters out
Yes.
there. You are never done learning.
Yes.
And you're never done growing.
Yes.
And you're never done getting better.
Yes.
And your biggest competition is
It's
you.
Yes.
Boom.
Yes.
So yeah.
Yes. Yes, y'all. I just want to say thank you for sticking in there with us.
Yes.
You know, we just really appreciate it.
Really, thank you for all the listens. Thank you
Yes.
for the downloads. Thank you
Yes.
for the follows on our socials.
Yes.
And I would say thank you for the emails, but we ain't been getting that many emails. We want.
Y'all, we ain't. We haven't
Where
been.
y'all at? We want to email
Right.
with y'all.
Right. Speaking of the email,
What?
you could always reach us and you can give us story suggestions
Yes,
too.
definitely.
You can reach us at the nosyhenspodcast@gmail.com.
Boom and pow.
Boom and pow. So y'all, we hope that y'all had a wonderful holiday
Yes.
season, all of the holidays.
Yes, all of them.
The new year.
Yeah.
I know some people are still celebrating the new year, but we
And
hope
what
y'all
did you
had a
say about 2023? You like 2023 take time out for me?
Yes.
Or something like that?
I think that's what I said. I just be making up stuff.
She do.
But that one's good. We
It
should
is
go get
good.
that tattooed on our arms. 2023.
Now, why would we get 2023?
For me.
Tattoo.
To remind you for the year and then scratch it out every year
Oh,
and then
no.
put the next number underneath.
See, the way
I
my
think that'd
pain
be cool.
tolerance is set up. Yeah, that ain't gonna work.
Well, y'all, guess what? Since we back.
We back and it's Friday the 13th.
Yeah.
We got a special episode
Yes.
for you guys.
Yes. We wanted to bring 13 different stories. Yes. 13 different stories to you all that happened either on the 13th, near the 13th, or it just kind of gives us 13th spooky vibes.
Right.
Because it was kind of hard trying to find a bunch of stuff that happened on Friday the 13th.
Which is crazy.
Yeah, we were Googling it. It was
as
like,
many
the
people
movie was
get
popping
killed
up.
every day, and the 13th, they taking a break? What they doing?
No, I don't think they taking a break.
Okay.
I don't think they taking a break at all.
But we managed to come up with
we got some stuff
13 good ones.
Yes, we got
so
some
what we
stuffs
doing?
for you.
We starting from 13, which is,
Yeah.
it's interesting.
Yeah.
But it's not very scary.
Yeah.
But we are moving down in the ranks till we get to the gutter.
Yeah.
The depths of depravity.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we tell you about the spookiest Friday the 13th-ish kind of case.
Yeah. Or it's just really disturbing.
Very.
It's disturbing.
Disturbs.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So let's start out with number 13, A-Rain. Who are we talking about?
So, number 13 on our list. It's sad. It is sad. This one is about a young man named Chantil D. Harrison. Yeah.
Let's go.
So Chantil D. Harrison was a 30-year-old young man who became the 8th murder victim in Champaign, Illinois.
Wow.
I know, right? Champaign seems pretty quiet.
Yeah. Is it kind of like close to Chicago, or don't get me to...
No, I don't think it's close to Chicago, but it is a college town.
Okay.
Yeah, because I wanted to go, at one point in my life, I wanted to go to Champaign, Urbana. I wanted to go there. But, yeah, I thought it was a pretty quiet town, college town. But, yeah, he was the 8th murder victim in Champaign, Illinois when he was murdered.
That year.
Oh, that year?
He was the 8th one that year.
Okay. So, as the second victim... Within 24 hours, Chantil was found in his car with a gunshot wound to his head on November 13th, 2020. So this was recent. His murder wasn't believed to be connected to another murder that had took place the day before, which was the murder of a 16-year-old boy by an 18-year-old kid. Another teenager.
Kids killing kids.
Yeah, and that's sad.
It is.
So, unfortunately... till this day, his murder is still unsolved. So it sounds like it was probably just either a carjacking,
when they chalked up to like gang violence,
because if he had no parts or any activities or any connections to any gang or anything like that, then it probably was somebody just doing something senseless for no reason. Yeah. So, rest in peace, Chantil D. Harrison. Hopefully,
your murder gets solved.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dang.
I know.
All right. Well, let's move on to number 12, which is one that took place in our hometown of St. Louis, Missouri. And it's about a guy named Marvin Lendoran Davis. And I remember this one. Excuse me, y'all. This one took place on December 13th, Friday of 2019. I saw it on the news. So what had happened was a guy, Marvin, was just driving around, minding his business in the broad daylight, of Friday the 13th. It was 11:15 a.m. when it was discovered that this 20-year-old had been driving a Nissan on 270 going west, and I think he was like north and he was coming west when his car was struck over 10 times with bullets fired from 2 different weapons.
What?
Yeah. And as a result, of course, he collided with a tractor trailer, and it didn't say if the bullets got him or if the collision with the tractor trailer got him, but he unfortunately perished. So when that happened, a black SUV with tinted windows was seen skirting from the scene. And an investigation ended up charging a boy named Cortland Kent and a boy named Darius Jones, both teenagers. That's why I call them boys, with the murder in the first degree. Now, they've been sitting in jail since 2019. There hasn't been a trial yet, and no sentence has taken place. I want to say that probably the pandemic has been slowing things down, and hopefully now with 2023, they'll pick that up and get them, their just due. I mean, hey, they took life, so them sitting in jail ain't no skin off of my nose.
Right.
But at the same time, like, come on.
Right.
You need to get the process going so that they can have whatever sentence y'all gonna give them and fill that out. Because what can happen is maybe the judge is feeling great that day and he's like, I sentenced you guys to 5 years.
Right.
Then they've been in there since 2019.
Right.
Then all they gonna have to do is like 1 or 2 more years.
Yeah.
That's not right.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I've been hearing a lot about just random shootings on the highway, and it's so scary.
It's very scary.
It's so scary, especially because those are highways that we frequent.
Right.
To
and you
either
just
go
don't...
to work. Those are like main highways to like,
Yes.
I take that highway to go to my in-laws. I might take it to get home. Like
daily. And you the worst thing you're thinking about is maybe like a tire blowing out and then you swerving all. You got to worry about getting hit by a bullet.
Yep.
Come on.
Yep.
All right, so we get into a number 11.
Yes, number 11 is the Paris suicide bombers.
Ooh.
I know, right? So this incident, it happened over the course of a few days. I think like up until November 18th.
Okay.
But it started on a Friday the 13th, November 13th, in 2015.
Mm-hmm.
So they hit they hit a couple different like main places with bombs, just some suicide bombers. They left 130 people dead, hundreds of people were wounded. They hit like a stadium, a restaurant, a bar. Like they hit a couple different places, just killing a lot of people. And like I said, finally ending on November 18th, when the first female who, like on the news and the story doing the research, they said that she was the first female suicide bomber from ISIS.
Wow.
That they
came across.
Yeah, that they came across. I'm pretty sure it's way more that like was actually a part of the group, the organization. But she set off a bomb in an apartment when the SWAT or whoever, the CIA, whatever that investigation attack squad or whatever was, they came in to get who they thought was her boyfriend, but it was actually her cousin. And when they got there, she opened fire or released her vest and ended up bombing herself and the building. And so
you have got to have some extreme faith to not be afraid to die for what you believe in,
man,
and to be able to be straight up blow yourself to pieces,
man.
Like I would just be too afraid that in that split second while I'm blowing myself to pieces that I could feel my skin ripping and tearing into those different parts. And it feels like the longest, like it takes an hour for that second to pass. I just couldn't do it.
The thought of that makes my skin crawl. I couldn't.
No,
I couldn't, because I feel like all this ISIS stuff and suicide bombers and stuff have been happening since we were in high school.
Oh yeah,
like the early 2000s. Like once 9/11 happened, it seemed like they just started popping up.
Oh yeah. Like
so popcorn. So I'm like, what? At this point, I don't even know what's the purpose of. I honestly don't know why they're doing this or what they're fighting for, or what, like, are they fighting for freedom? Are they blowing themselves up to prove a point? Or is it to kill people to prove a point?
Yeah.
Like, at this point, I honestly do not know why these suicide bombers just keep doing
all
this.
I know is it wouldn't be me. It wouldn't be me.
Couldn't be.
Okay.
Couldn't be.
So let's go ahead and get into number 10. Now, number 10, this is where we kind of, I mean, these all have been disturbing, but we're starting to get into the more like personal, like, could this be me kind of things. So this one's about a young man by the name of Alex Jackson. And so he was a young man, he was like college aged, and he moved to Indianapolis to study environmental science at Purdue University in Indianapolis. Now, he was just an innocent person just trying to make a good life for himself, but his body was found on Friday the 13th, September 2019. He was found with no cell phone, no ID, no money in his pockets, and the pockets were turned inside out. So it was a robbery that, ended up taking him out. But what happened was there was a guy named Justin Blake. He was 19 years old, and he was hanging out with 26-year-old Brittany Overton.
What?
7 years older, okay? And they were just some two low-life lovebirds.
Yeah.
All right.
So hard.
That were out to rob somebody so they could get a fix. And they got Alex for his belongings and his 2018 Hyundai Elantra. So when he was shot, he was in the car. So he got out the car. He attempted to run away, and he tried to hop a fence. But unfortunately, in the middle of, running away, he succumbed to his injury. Is it succumbed or succumb?
Succumb.
I think, yeah, he said.
Is it with an ED?
He succumbed to his look. He
failed trap.
Passed away. Due to
I'm also failed trap. What?
Failed trap.
Not to him, sorry,
right?
Piece, but to what I just said, because I'm weird.
Because I don't know words.
That too. I don't know how to put sentences together.
But so so he's hopping over the fence, and then he just is on the fence, dead, and they left him for dead. So somebody else found him.
Oh no.
Yeah, it's just sad.
Could you imagine walking past the fence and you probably are like, hey, what you doing up there? And then notice, that's
blood. Yeah. I can't even imagine
the things that you could possibly see just walking down the street.
Yeah, I know. So Justin and Brittany, they were caught not too long after the incident because they were sloppy, they were drug addicts, and they just were, out there. Justin was sentenced to 61 years in jail for the murder and robbery, this past March in 2022. Well, Brittany, all right, she took a plea deal, as well as she didn't pull the trigger, so she only got 20 years. But I feel like she should have got 61 years, just like that dude,
right?
Justin, because she also left Alex for dead. She also participated in the robbery. Like, just because you didn't pull the trigger, don't mean you didn't have a part in his death.
Right.
So, girl, bye. She should have got 61 years. 20 years is not nothing.
Because she might get out and do the exact same thing. She probably is still using in prison.
Exactly.
It seems like drugs are easily accessible in prison, just like they are on the street. I mean, now you might have to do something strange for a piece of rock.
You might have to I can't say no.
You might have to do a little.
I was finna say, to rhyme, you might have to for a piece of rock.
I mean, it is.
You might have to drop it like it's hot for a piece of rock. Okay, that's the clean version.
Yeah.
Let's go with that.
Yeah, I like clean versions.
Drop it like
sometimes. It's hot. Not on BET movies, though. I don't like clean versions on BET.
Anyways, let's get into number 10, which is something about George. A guy named George.
Okay, so George Joseph Jingleheimer Schmidt. No, I'm just kidding. But his last name is Smith. So George Joseph Smith.
He got 3 plain names.
George Joseph Jingleheimer Schmidt. His name was never my name, too.
Okay.
Okay.
And don't want it to be.
Okay, so George Joseph Smith was what you call a dog. Yes.
Don't insult dogs like that.
Well,
what was
he was a bird.
He was a snake. No, don't insult birds like that. Excuse me. I have a parakeet. Do not do my Pac-Man like that.
Birds are nothing but rats with wings.
Don't listen to her, y'all. We damn birds. What you talking about?
We're not birds.
The Nosy Hens podcast.
Oh shit. Oh god, that did not
go over well.
No.
You stuck your little claw in your mouth, didn't you?
I did not think that one out at all. So, George Joseph Jingleheimer Smith. Omit the Jingleheimer.
He is a Jingleheimer.
Yes.
A little Jingleheimer.
So, George Joseph Smith was what you call a bigamous.
Mm-hmm. So he had a bunch of wives, even though he only was legally married to one,
yes.
But he kept marrying.
Yes.
That's what a bigamist is.
I had never heard of that word
before. Oh, really?
I researched this. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he was a bigamous person. Yes.
It sounds close to bigot, but it's not. Just sounds like it. But.
Yeah. Maybe because it's just big on what so he basically was a bigamist, aka a womanizer.
Womanizer, baby.
Yes. He married a bunch of women under false names, stole money from them, or like took out life insurance policies on them, killed them, and got his life insurance money from them. So he had a bunch of wives. Like, I'm doing air quotes with my 3 fingers that are available. So he had a bunch of wives.
Microphone stands, y'all.
Right. His first wife that he married in 1898 was a young lady named Caroline Thornhill.
Caroline Thornhill.
Yes. So he married her in 1998, and he never divorced.
1998?
1898. I'm sorry, y'all. 1898. And she was the one that was legally his wife. That was his very first wife. She was legally his wife, and he married her under his real name, George Joseph Smith.
Right.
And she was his wife up until he died in 1915. But
see, he probably wasn't planning on being a bigamist and scammer and all of that until he saw he had an opportunity.
Oh, yeah, he did. So what happened was his first wife, Carolyn, she was a maid. He convinced her, because he was into crookism. Okay. He was already, a thief, a crook, a person that was just manipulative and used people. So he used his first wife, Caroline, to steal from her employers. Yes.
So he had her doing the dirty.
He had her stealing from, because she was a maid and she worked for wealthy families. Babe. Yes.
Go up in their bath, or go up in their bedroom, and go in there in that jewelry closet thingy
and get that diamond.
They ain't gonna miss it.
Boy, let me tell you something. I know every piece of jewelry I got. Okay, so I'm gonna miss it.
Okay.
All right. So she did what was asked of her. She stole from her employers. She got caught eventually, and she went to prison for a year. In that year that she was in prison, her dear old husband, George, disappeared. Okay?
I'ma hold you down. I'ma hold you down.
Yeah, he disappeared. So when she had got out of jail, she was walking down the street one day and she saw good old George, just walking, down the street.
And she said, "That's that nigga George."
Right. She said, "Oh,
hell nah.
So, George convinced himself back into her bedroom.
You lying.
Yes.
I was not expecting that.
Yeah, he did. Convinced himself back into her bedroom, but eventually it just didn't work out. She moved to Canada. This was in Europe, somewhere in Britain. I can't remember. I'm sorry, guys. My research.
This girl.
2:00 in the morning didn't allow me to get into details, but yeah. So she moved to Canada. And while she moved and immigrated to Canada, he stayed where he was. And at this time, a lot of the young men were migrating to like Australia. They were migrating to other places, which meant there were a lot of women that were like lonely and were vulnerable. And George was like, let me rub my rat fingers together.
Doing that Stevie J smile.
Yes. And he went on a trip in his favorite rocket ship and started using all of these women. So his next wife, air quotes with the 3 fingers, he met was Miss Bessie Mundy in 1910. She inherited $280,000 from her father who died. George slid right on in them 1910 DMs and married her. Yeah. Convinced her to give him like $150,000. He went and started his business. The business failed.
Was George fine?
No, he looked like Albert Fish.
Oh my gosh. Like, what is going on?
He looked spooky. This is supposed to be short, guys, and I feel like I'm going into a lot of detail. I'm sorry. Bottom line, long story short.
How did he kill his wives?
He killed his wives by drowning them. But the way that he drowned them was he convinced the doctor that the 3 wives that he said he had, Bessie Mundy, Alice Burnham, and Margaret Lofty, that they had some kind of like head issue or mental something. And then the doctor was like, okay, because you're a man and I believe everything that you say.
See.
But what George was doing was letting these women get in tubs and he was like yanking their feet, like surprise yank. And then they would go up underwater and they would drown. And then he would inherit insurance money or just money that like the first wife, or the second wife, Betsy Mundy.
Yeah.
He had her take a life insurance policy out.
Wow.
Yeah, so he ended up getting the death penalty for these murders of his wives because
what they do? Did they guillotine them? Did they hang them? Did they
hung?
Well,
like an apple from an apple tree.
Well,
yeah.
Rest
in hell.
Ooh.
Rest in hell, you stupid mother. Dang.
All right, y'all. So let's get into number 8. Number 8. Yeah. And that is a story about a girl named Julie or July.
I think it might be Julie. I don't know.
It's spelled.
Some people get really creative with names.
It's spelled Julii. So her name was Julie Laurie Johnson. And if it's July, I am so sorry.
So hard.
So I'm going to just say Miss Johnson for the rest of this. So Miss Johnson, she was a 34-year-old single mother from Oak Park, Michigan. She was hardworking. She was loved by plenty of people. They just said she was a good woman. Well, on Friday the 13th of January 2017, early morning, like 7:30 a.m., she was waiting in the car for her boyfriend. His name was Jim Terrell Latner. When somebody rolled up on her and shot 7 times into the car.
Oh, no.
Killing her. Now, she was, like I said, just a single mom working, trying to make ends meet for her kids or kid. Sorry, I didn't look into that. But who finna just roll up and shoot in the car?
Right, especially if she's not problematic.
Exactly. Well, guess what? Jim, he was the ex-boyfriend of a woman named Marcy Griffin. Now, he had 2 kids with Marcy, and he, left. It didn't work out, and he, went on to get into a relationship with Miss Johnson. Well, Marcy didn't like that. Marcy was a pathetic excuse for a woman
so hard
who cared more about her ex-boyfriend than she did her own children and current boyfriend.
I have the fist ready, locked and loaded to fucking air punch.
And this is crazy to me. Dang, you shaking that coffee. Yeah. We ghetto. I'm sorry.
Y'all know we be drinking our Dunkin'.
Well,
Until they sponsor
exactly.
Dunkin'.
Don't be shouting out Dunkin' until they give us a sponsorship.
Dang,
I mean, we go there plenty. All right. Anyways, so she had a current boyfriend. How do we know she had a current boyfriend? Because Marcy hired her boyfriend, George Ryder, who hired a boy named, well, I don't know if it's a boy, but somebody named Eric Gibson to kill Miss Johnson. So I'm like, what was that conversation like? Bae,
yeah,
I am so jealous that my ex-boyfriend is in love with a new girl. I want you to kill her, okay?
Okay, whatever you want me to do.
And don't care that I am jealous of my ex-boyfriend because, I like you, kind of. I just love him. And
Yeah, I'll do anything for you, babe.
Well, okay, so this is what you do. You know what I'm saying? Like, what the heck?
I like our skits. We should be actresses.
Hey, that's my plan one day.
Yeah.
So, 3 Stooges. All right, Marcy, George, and Eric. Of course, they were all found guilty.
Of course.
Of premeditated murder. And they all received life sentences without the possibility of parole. Thank you, justice system, for getting it right.
Yeah, because you barely did.
All right. So that was number 8. Dang. Let's get into number 7. Dang. That means we coming on down the pike.
Yeah,
and these are getting more and more disturbing, guys.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
just warning you.
Yes. So this next one is about a young lady named Brittany Kilgore. You know what? Just listening to your story and thinking about this one, they're kind of similar.
Oh, Lord.
But yeah, they're kind of similar. Because it was like a, I don't know. Let's
a triangle kind of thing?
Yeah, kind of. Just with the innocent bystander.
The blank.
Yes. So Brittany Kilgore was a 22-year-old California woman that was brutally murdered by 3 nincompoops. I don't ever use that word because it's so hard to say.
Nincompoop.
I don't like it.
Nincompoop.
I don't like that word. But that's what they are. So if I don't like the word, I don't like them.
Ooh.
So these nincompoops, I have to say it slowly because my mouth won't allow me
to. You need to say every syllable for them. They need to know what they are.
Yes, they do.
Damn
nincompoops.
Heavy on the poop.
Okay. 3 syllables for these 3 poops.
Ooh.
Yes.
That's good.
Yes. So the 3 poops were Jessica Lynn Lopez, who at the time was 28, Louise Perez, who was at the time 49, and Dorothy Maraglino, who was 40 at the time.
What?
Yes.
Yo, big old age, girl.
I know, right? So Jessica Lynn Lopez, Louise, and Dorothy were a part of like a BDSM
Lord
group thing. And Louise was into is it the sadomasochism? But he was really into like inflicting harm. That's how he got his rock swaffed, was inflicting harm on other people. So they had a conversation about like, yeah, we should probably like try to kill someone for our sexual pleasures. Yes, because
do it to yourself.
Yes, right? Because Jessica had already killed someone in the past.
You lying?
No, I am not. She had killed someone in the past before, so she was like very easy to manipulate.
Bro.
So Louise and Dorothy were actually a couple, but they had an open relationship, and so they brought in Jessica. Dorothy was a very, very like insecure, jealous woman, but because she loved Louise and he wanted to have this open relationship, she was like, oh, okay. So when they brought Jessica in, and this is gonna get us back to Brittany Kilgore. So when they brought Jessica in, Jessica was the slave of Dorothy. So Dorothy was kind of like Louise's, like his main thing, but like his slave when he wanted her to be. And then to make Dorothy feel better, Jessica was like her slave. So in comes Brittany Kilgore. She's like getting ready to divorce her husband. He was a Marine. She's about to divorce him and move back to with her family. I don't remember where it said her family was from, but she was about to move back with her family. And so she became friends with a young lady that was mutual friends with Dorothy. And Dorothy was like, I hate her because she's always flirting with Louise, which she was not. She was just jealous of Brittany.
Yeah.
And so, and at the time, Dorothy was like 7-8 months pregnant. Like she was pregnant at the time.
Dorothy, 40-year-old?
Yes.
Okay.
So she like hated Brittany, just really, really hated her because she thought she's trying to take my man from me. And Brittany was like, girl, I'm just trying to get back home. I'm lonely. I ain't really got that many friends. I just really want to get back. I'm trying to end this marriage. And so what the three poops decided to do was, in the middle of Brittany packing to get her things ready to go on back across country with her family, Louise popped up at her apartment. And so Brittany was like, basically like, how'd you know where I live? And he was like, oh, I asked around.
And I've been like, and I'm about to ask around for the police.
Right.
Because,
right.
Nigga.
And so he's like asking her like, hey, you want to go on this dinner cruise with me that they had in San Francisco or San Diego. It was a dinner cruise. And he was like, do you want to go on this dinner cruise with me? And she was like, no, because she felt really uncomfortable. He convinced her because he knew after a while she'll like give in. So when he came back to get her later that night, he did not take her on the cruise. 10 minutes of her being in the car with him, she just already felt uncomfortable getting in the car with him anyway, but she did it. And so she texted her friend help, and then that was the last anybody had heard from her. What happened was they took her back to Dorothy's house, where they basically just murdered her. They murdered her. So after doing that, they doused her body with bleach, and they dumped her body at Lake Skinner. It was like downtown San Diego. Dorothy, like the next day, flew out to go visit some family. I'm
gonna kill and go visit my family.
Yeah. So, but police found her car at a hotel. They got to the hotel. Jessica was there, and it looked like Jessica had like tried to like kill herself, but they think that Dorothy, like, because she had a cut across her neck, they think that Dorothy was the one that like put the slash across her neck or whatever. And then there was like a letter of Jessica confessing that she killed Brittany, and they told her where to
So Jessica wasn't dead?
No, Jessica wasn't dead,
but she was injured. Okay.
So, but they found this letter of Jessica like, this is where you can find Brittany's body, and I did it, and I love Dorothy and would do anything for her. Yeah. All in all, these 3 poopy heads all received life sentences.
They better got it without parole.
I don't know if it was without parole.
Well, we gonna say it is.
But yeah, they got life, and
that one might be a good one to go deeper into because this is such a complex dynamic between the 3 people, and then also how did they kill Brittany and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So let's mark that one to come back to.
Definitely.
Wow.
F you poop heads.
For real. All right. Number 6.
Oh, we're coming down.
We're coming down. So this one is about Mark Branch. And you guys, this one is super interesting. This one is about a guy known as the Friday the 13th copycat killer. He was stupid. All right.
Yeah, so hard.
So first of all, he decided to act out his Friday the 13th fantasy on October 24th, 1988. That's my birthday, my 3rd birthday, you guys, which, okay, but why?
That's what I'm saying.
I am obsessed with Friday the 13th. Let me kill on Tuesday the 24th. Yeah. Like, really? It just don't make no sense. So that's number 1. All right. So he's in Greenfield, Massachusetts, and he stalks and brutally murders a young woman by the name of Sharon Gregory. And what he did was just enter her house, and he wreaks havoc. He has the Friday the 13th mask on. He has a machete, and he's just slashing. Okay. Well, Sharon had a twin sister by the name of Cheryl. And poor Cheryl. She's the one who ends up finding her sister in the bathtub. She's dead with multiple gashes to her head, chest, and abdomen. Your twin sister. That's like, first of all, that's like seeing yourself.
Right.
Like that. But twins have, they usually have bonds that are just deeper than, anything else. And you see that's crazy, bro. Now, there were different theories about Mark's his obsession with Sharon in addition to the Friday the 13th movies. So that's why I think we should get into this one too.
Yeah.
But of course they think that it, all circled around his obsession with the horror films the most. And so we just got to do this one in much more detail because there's also theories, and sorry guys, my heat cut on. It's cold. But anyway, there's also theories about how he knew Sharon, and if she did something to him that he wanted to wreak havoc and revenge and all of that. And also we need to talk about what happened to him in the aftermath. Yeah. So that is the guy that is the Friday the 13th copycat killer.
That's stupid.
Very.
You know what? Even though it's the Friday the 13th, the way that she was found in the tub is like psycho.
Yeah.
So it's like you weren't even paying attention to the movies, you dimwit.
Right. He's just like, let me get that mask.
You mixed up the movie.
Yeah. So Mark Branch was dumb.
Lit liquor.
All right, let's get into number 5.
Ooh, okay. So our number 5 is the story. This is a horrible crime too. It's kind of disturbing. A young lady, 15-year-old girl named Martha Moxley. So on October 30th in 1975, in a very wealthy gated community called Bellhaven in Greenwich. Is it Greenwich or Greenwich?
So I think it's Greenwich.
I was gonna say I think people call it Greenwich.
Yeah.
So Greenwich, Connecticut. So little Miss Martha, her and her friends went out Friday, or not Friday, but October 30th is like considered mischief night.
Right.
So her and her friends went out, had fun, throwing toilet paper and eggs and all the other things around the neighborhood. Well, by the end of the night, Martha ends up dead. Okay?
Martha just herself? Nobody else?
Nobody else.
Okay.
She was found the next morning dead under like a bush that was near, or it was like on the property of her family's home.
Wow.
When they showed like an aerial view of where she was located, it would have taken, like, you had to like go and look.
Okay.
Because it was they had a lot of land and space around their homes, a lot of greenery.
Yeah.
Greenwich. They had a lot
Greenwich
of
and Greenwich.
right. They had a lot of greenery around their homes.
Mm-hmm.
So what happened was she was struck in the head with a golf club.
Oh.
Very, very, very expensive golf club that just so happened to belong to the family of one of the neighbors in the neighborhood. The Skakel. So them peoples. So this golf club
The
set
scallywags, if you ask me.
the Skacklebackles.
Okay.
Yeah, those people. I couldn't think of anything. I couldn't think of another insulting name. So apparently this golf bag that had these very expensive golf clubs, to which one was the murder weapon, belonged to the family of these people,
right?
These skunkles. So two brothers, Michael and Tommy, they were like asked these questions like, hey, what happened to Martha? And they were like, one was like, I was at my cousin's house. The other one was like, I came out and hung out with her. Because Tommy and Martha, even though Tommy I think was like 17 and Martha was 15, they liked each other. But he was like trying to like get to first, second, third, but he was trying to go there with her, and she was like, no, that's not what I want for my life right now,
right,
or whatever. But he said that he did see Martha about like 9 o'clock. They hung out until about 9 o'clock. Then he went in the house and she went on, and that was that. But then later he had said that he did go back outside and he hung out with Martha until like 11. So just a bunch of lies. That's all y'all do is lie.
Right.
But this one we also are going to have to like dive deep in, because it's a lot of details in this story. Martha was bludgeoned to death. She was stabbed. And then there was a jagged piece that had broken off of the golf club that they used to like stab into her neck.
Oh my gosh.
She was found with her pants down, but there was no evidence of a sexual assault.
Trying to humiliate her.
Yes, trying to humiliate her. The murder weapon was found like 50 feet or 50 yards or 50 feet away from her. So it wasn't like...
Okay, but
they
DNA?
Really tried to,
see, that's why we need to get into it.
Yeah. Because it was this case was...
Is there a solved? I mean, is it solved?
It's kind of solved. They did end up arresting Michael Skakel, who was the younger brother.
That's the one that said he was with the cousin?
Yes, that's the one that said he was with the cousin, but he lied. But this whole story was just this case was like fumbled real hard because the Skakels have some connection by marriage to the Kennedys. And so because of their status and their wealth, they were able to like buy their freedom.
Why, yes, of course.
They were able to buy their freedom.
Yeah.
This case went on until about 2002. Mind you, I said this happened in 1975.
Oh my god.
So 2002 was when in 2000 it was announced that they found Michael Skakel to be the one to have been the suspect to do all of this stuff. And
wow.
sent him on to jail. So he was sentenced to 20 years to life, but he also lived a nice, wealthy life in between that time, and Martha was not. So we're gonna go deeper into that story, but apparently money gets you out of trouble. You can kill somebody right in front of the judge, the jury, the cops, and everybody else, and then you give everybody about 150, and they'll be like, I absolutely don't know who killed that girl.
Right.
That is crazy. Let me tell you something. I'll take that 150, okay? I'll take that 150,000 and lie just like you did to the cops, and I'm going to tell.
Right, exactly.
Look, nah, but my bank account look cute. Oh, and that's that offshore Swiss account, because you ain't taking that money back.
Okay.
You going to jail!
Why is you something else?
Mother flood pucker.
Lord have mercy.
So yeah, she somewhat received, I feel like somewhat received justice.
But it took forever.
It took forever. So rest in peace, Martha Moxley.
Number 4. All right, so this one's pretty bad. This one is about a lady by the name of Kitty Genovese. I love her name, Kitty Genovese.
It's very stage-like.
Yeah. It's like an actress name or something like that. So she was born Catherine Susan Genovese in 1935 in Brooklyn. And when she grew up, around 19 years old, she got married, but the marriage was annulled quickly after, like not even a whole year. And that's because she wanted to live out her truth as a lesbian. And she did. She like, hey, this is 1954, but she like, I'm finna do me.
Yeah, okay? That was hard times for him.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So what happened? Let's fast forward to the 1960s. Now, Kitty is living with her girlfriend in Queens. She's working double shifts, managing a bar. She has a good life, okay? Well, around 2:30 a.m. on Friday the 13th, in March 1964, Kitty was finally off work and she headed home in her red Fiat. Now, she stopped at a traffic light on Hoover Avenue, okay? And she's spotted by a man named Winston Mosley. All right. Well, for some reason, Winston, he just sitting, okay? He just sitting in the street in his Chevy Corvair. And he just looking. He prowling like a predator, all right? And he sees Kitty and he like, that's the one.
Oh.
Yeah. So when Kitty, right? So when Kitty parks in an alleyway at the back of her apartment building, she gets out. This is around 3:15 in the morning. She gets out and she's walking toward the front because the back is kind of locked off. So you have to enter through the front. She gets out, and when she gets out, Mosley gets out of his car and he starts walking towards Kitty, and he has a hunting knife in his hand. I don't know if she saw it, but she saw he was walking towards her,
okay.
And she wasn't stupid. So she starts running to the front of the building so she could try and get in there before, he does. But he runs too, and he catches up to her quickly, and he overtakes her and just starts stabbing her in the back. Just stabbing her, all right? While Kitty is screaming, oh my God, he stabbed me, help me, She's loud. She's doing what she's supposed to do. Well, with it being so early in the morning, lots of people heard the screams, but only a few people even registered what was happening.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So there was this one man named Robert Moser. And he was a neighbor of Kitty's, and he heard what was going on. So he looks outside to see what's happening. He sees what's happening. And he like, leave that girl alone. So Mosley runs off. Okay. He runs off after the dude yells at him. And then Kitty, she's kind of able to stagger her way to the back of the building where the first entrance was, that's kind of blocked off. But she's, just trying to get away. But she's seriously injured. Walters, B.A., okay, he drives off in his car. But he only, circled a block, okay, about 10 minutes or something like that. He comes back, and when he comes back, he's got a wide brim hat on. So this is disguise. He the master of
Oh my
disguise.
God! Now he's turning Carmen Sandiego.
Okay, right. So he looking around.
Well, hold on. He left and then came back.
He came back and he like, they ain't gonna catch me now. I got a wide brim hat on my head. Yeah. So he finds Kitty because it took her a while to stagger back to the back, okay? But she wasn't able to get into the building all the way because I said that door was locked. And when he finds her, he just continues to do what he was doing, which was stabbing her. And not only that, he rapes her for about 30 minutes.
Oh my God.
Okay, where's Robert, the guy that said leave that man alone, leave that girl alone? Like, what is going on?
Go get the cops?
No. And this is why we have to go deeper into this one, because this one is like one of the early, the I see it, but I ain't gonna say it.
Right.
It's one of those stories. So he stabs her, he rapes her, and he steals $50 from her and runs away. Now, another one of Kitty's neighbors, a lady named Sophia, found Kitty, and she held her in her arms while they waited for an ambulance to come. But Kitty passed away before she could even get to the hospital.
Oh my God.
Now, this is what really pissed me off. At first, the police suspect Kitty's girlfriend of being the one that commits the murder.
When it was clearly a man.
Exactly. Like, why? I think it was just because they were lesbians. That was the taboo thing. So they already just had it out for her. You know what I mean? They didn't care.
Oh, they just don't do their job.
So wasting resources to put the finger on somebody that ain't got nothing to do with nothing.
Right.
So Winston Mosley, how he was caught was he was attempting to do another robbery. He was attempting to do another robbery in a suburban house, and the car was the same car that one of the witnesses described, probably Robert, described as being the car that was around when Kitty was being attacked. And so they were like, hey, this is you. We finna get you. All right. Right. So after being interrogated, they find out he's also a necrophiliac. And for those of you guys that don't know what that word is basically he was trying to kill Kitty so that he could have sex with her dead body. That's what necrophiliacs do.
So he must wanted a warm dead body.
Yeah.
He didn't want a cold dead body.
Yeah. Of course, he was found guilty, and he ended up receiving a death sentence that later became overturned.
How?
It
Why?
became overturned because I think during this time they were trying to the death penalty was up in the air. So there was back and forth with that.
I'm gonna need them to come to a whole just figure it out.
Right. Now this is another thing. He was denied parole several times, so he eventually ended up dying in prison on March 28th in 2016. This happened in 1964, yo. So that means he served 52 years in the New York State prison system, making him one of the longest serving prisoners ever. But I say that to say because he was able to live a long, full life. He was about 81 when he died. 81.
And no telling how many other victims he had.
Right? And Kitty, she dies, in her 20s?
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was just real messed up. But I'd like to go deeper into this one because if I was any of those neighbors and I heard what happened and I know I didn't do anything, I would just feel so much guilt.
Okay.
So much guilt.
I would feel bad.
Well, guess what, A-Rain?
What?
We are in the top 3.
Oh.
That means it only gets worse from here.
Spookier and more disturbing. Okay.
Well, what is number 3? A Rain.
So our number 3 is about a lake.
Lake.
In a beautiful place.
You scared me at lake.
Yes, because it reminds me of Jason coming out that lake.
Exactly.
At Camp Crystal Lake. Oh my God.
Exactly.
Oh. So, this one is about 4 teenagers that decided to go on a sweetheart retreat at Lake Bodom.
Ooh, Bodom. That sounds ominous.
Yes. It was by the shore of southern Finland's Lake Bodom. That's what it was.
Okay.
Yeah. So the 4 teens, this is what happened. 4 teens, 15-year-old Mila Ermeli Bjorklund.
Mm-hmm.
So I like Googled how to say their names.
Yeah.
It was yeah. So first one, 15-year-old Mila, maybe it wasn't Ermeli, I think that's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Mila Ermeli Bjorklund, her 18-year-old boyfriend, Niels Wilhelm Gustafsson,
Mm-hmm.
friend, 15-year-old Anna Tuliki Maki, and her 18-year-old boyfriend, Seppo Antero
Mm-hmm.
Boisman.
Okay. Boisman.
I don't know if it's pronounced Boisman. It's spelled like Boisman,
Mm.
but I don't think it's pronounced Boisman.
Yeah.
Maybe it is. I don't know. But this was in 1960. So
Okay.
they decided to go camping June 4th, 1960 on the shore of southern Finland's Lake Bodom for a sweetheart retreat. Got on their mopeds, went on out. They were going to be out there for a couple days. So they set up at camp. And
Hold on.
What?
These girls is 15-year-olds.
Yeah, it's a different time.
They
Different
parents
day.
let them go with 18-year-old boys
Yep.
for a few days. Okay, keep going.
Yeah, that's why we had, grandmamas.
My
that were so
mama and
young.
daddy wouldn't let me go at 15, wouldn't let me go around the corner.
Do you understand me? My mama wouldn't even let me look at a boy.
Okay. So
At 15,
right. Okay.
because if I looked at a boy, I was automatically getting pregnant. That's what she thought in her
Uh-huh.
head. But at 15, I was still playing with my Barbie dolls.
Lord
Those were
have
so much fun.
mercy.
And my Polly
I know my
Pockets.
mama stopped buying me Barbie dolls. Y'all, this is therapy for a real quick second. My mama stopped buying me Barbie dolls at like 12, 13. I was like, dang, man.
No, I was asking for them. Hey, mama, give me them Barbies. That one right there. She got the curly braids.
I might just go ahead and buy me a Barbie this
Yeah.
weekend, y'all.
Let me tell you something.
Gotta get that inner child back.
Yes, in my almost 40s, I make sure I get me a Lego set. Do
Okay.
you understand me?
I know that's right.
Do you want and Play-Doh?
Yes.
I love it. I play with all of
Embrace
it.
your inner child, people. Sorry,
Yes.
back to the show.
Yes, back to the show. So, they set up their camp. They enjoyed nature out in the wilderness or the whatever by the lake.
They're out in the nature.
Yes, out in the natures because apparently Finland has beautiful
Oh, I bet.
hiking and lakes.
It just
and-
sounds like it does.
Yes, so a lot of the natives and the people that live there, they just go out and enjoy nature. So they're out there enjoying the rough housing, swimming in the lake, fishing, doing all the things. Mila kept a journal, talking, just about the days of the events and stuff that was going on. One of the journals talked about how they had settled down for bed about midnight, but the boys, Seppo and Niels, they were like still restless, so they went out and fished and hung out, roughed house and stuff until about 2 a.m. Until about 3 a.m. Well, everything was fine up until about 4 a.m. Okay,
Yeah.
so 4 a.m. the 14s were attacked. So Anna and Seppo were inside the tent.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming they were asleep. It didn't say, but they were inside the tent. Mila and Niels were outside of the tent.
Mm-hmm.
Well, apparently, someone did a surprising attack on them. They came out of nowhere and basically bludgeoned Mila to death.
Mila was the outside the tent.
Yeah,
Okay.
Mila was outside. So they bludgeoned her to death. Niels, her boyfriend, was also like injured, but he didn't die. But he had like facial fractures. And he was also like hit in the head as well. But he was like laying next to her.
Mm-hmm.
Anna and Seppo were inside the tent. So whoever attacked, it looked like they were just kind of swinging, because the two that were in the tent, whoever attacked them outside of it. So they were outside of the tent. They hit Mila, they hit Niels, and then they went in to like start attacking.
Okay, so you can't imagine not one of these modern tents. It's probably one
it was
of the,
like a little simple, like,
yeah,
the triangle,
the sticks,
like,
and the right.
Yeah. So they were bludgeoned to death through the tent. So they were dead inside the tent.
Wait, what? Do you know?
It didn't say. It just said with an object.
Okay.
So this story, this case, was another like one of those things where police just kind of flopped. They didn't go into like really investigating, but they do know that between 4 and 6 a.m. is when the attack happened. And then on the morning of June 5th, there were some little boys that were like bird watching at like 6 a.m.
Yeah.
And they saw that the tent was collapsed, but I don't think they saw that it was like, oh, somebody was murdered.
Right.
They just saw that, oh, there's a collapsed tent, and then they went on looking for birds. It wasn't until 11 a.m. that the bodies were discovered by a man named Risto Siren.
Yeah.
So he discovered the bodies. When he discovered them, he immediately informed the police.
Right.
Because he was like, I don't know.
Hold on. So Niels, he's sitting, he alive, but laying next to his dead girlfriend.
He's alive, but I think he was like knocked out or something, because apparently like he had like the cerebral fluid coming out of his nose. Like he was hit hard.
Really?
Like he was hit hard to where he was probably on the verge of death.
Really?
Because he had the fluid leaking
Girl,
from his
so that
nose.
just freaking messes up my theory, because I'm thinking Niels did it.
Yeah.
I'm like, Niels did it, and he just probably just like little scraped himself.
But he did have superficial like cuts. Like the other ones were bludgeoned and stab. And he was like bludgeoned. His face was like broken, had a broken jaw. And
well, some people are psycho enough
to
seriously
take
injure their face.
They know how to do it.
Yeah.
So the random person, Risto Siren, he immediately called the police. The police got there about noon. Mind you, like I said, they weren't discovered until 11 a.m. Like discovered. Police got there about noon. And they pretty much, when the cops got there, was like, what is all of this? When I think of like Finland and Switzerland, I think of like all of those articles that talk about how it's like one of the safest countries.
Yeah.
You know, so that could be why in the 60s, because they probably didn't experience a lot of murder. Or if they did, it just kind of went unsolved because it didn't happen as often.
That's true.
They just kind of like flopped the mission.
Right.
They did not understand the mission at all. So the crime scene was confusing when they got there. The person that attacked the teenagers, just like I said, attacked them from outside of the tent. So it was just kind of like, what would be the purpose of them doing that?
Right.
They didn't know what was used to like bludgeon them to death. They just know it was some kind of blunt object, but they didn't know
they stupid
what it was. There were several items missing from the crime scene. Apparently, because remember I told you they rode in on mopeds?
Yeah.
So apparently the keys to the mopeds were gone, but the mopeds were still there.
What? Girl.
And then Neil's clothes and shoes were found like a mile away. Yes, they were found like a mile. So I'm like, so Neil's was just laying there naked?
So Niels, he maybe he didn't do it.
So they said his stuff was found like a mile away from the crime scene. So then here's another part where it was botched. The cops didn't like tape off the crime scene. So because they didn't tape it off, people that were like curious.
Police 101. Tape off the crime scene.
Yes.
What the?
Yes. So curious onlookers and other campers like came across, and they basically like destroyed the murder scene because they went in and start touching stuff and adding more of just DNA.
Oh my gosh. Bro.
So they messed that up. So because they messed that up, the police were like, oh shoot, we need the military to come in and help us.
Oh my gosh.
So they called the Finnish soldiers in to help kind of recover more missing items. And the soldiers basically trampled the murder scene even more.
What?
And a lot of those items were never found because they were either just lost or stolen from the people that were like, oh, I can go play crime scene investigator.
Wow.
Yeah. So there were a couple suspects that they brought in, and they just came to not be the ones that they were looking for. One of the suspects was a known mean man that worked within the camp. He had a kiosk in the campsite or on the campsite, and people were like, yeah, it could have been him. But it wasn't. And he ended up like committing suicide.
No.
He drowned himself in the same lake.
I can't.
9 years after 9 years after these kids.
Why? Because people was harassing him?
Probably.
Wow.
Probably. Then there was another man named Hans. Guys, his name is spelled like ass man. It's Hans Ass Man. But I think it's like Osman or something.
Yeah.
I think it's Hans Osman. He was a suspect up until 2004.
Dang.
Because he was rumored to be a KGB spy, which is like a Russian spy.
Yeah.
So he was rumored to be a KGB spy, and he was like a loner, but he lived off the shore of the lake.
Russian spy kill teenagers?
Right. For what reason?
Right.
So that's why I was like, that was kind of ruled out. But they just assumed like he probably killed some other people. Like they were also looking at him at other murders too. Mm-hmm. So I kind of feel like the cops with this were like throwing darts.
Yeah.
Like, this could be the possible suspect. Apparently, in the midst of looking for all of these darn suspects, they ended up finding like 44 people that were like wanted for murder, just hiding out in these woods that were off the lake shore. A community
of murderers.
Yeah, they found a bunch of people that were wanted or suspects of murder. So, but 44 years later, so in March of 2004, the police arrested and tried who? Niels. No. They arrested him and they brought him in because they were like,
I wonder when he hit himself, was he trying to commit suicide? Was he trying to just knock himself out suicidally because he couldn't take the pain of the stab wounds or whatever?
Right. I mean, that could be a claim, but
after he freaking killed all of them.
Right. That could be that could be one good theory, because it's one of those things. It's one of those things where it's still kind of like, it could be Neil,
right?
But it might for real be someone else, because they were saying that the injuries that he had, he wouldn't have been able to like sustain those injuries and walk a mile to go put his clothes somewhere and then
that
come
don't
back.
Make sense. Yeah,
right. Because it's like, well, before he had those injuries, he could have walked and put them clothes there and came back and then got some beating up on himself.
Yep.
But then they also were like thinking that maybe Niels and Seppo got into a fight, and like Seppo like beat him up like bad to where he fractured his jaw and broke some facial
Yeah,
bones.
that's probably
And
it.
that Niels was like so mad and embarrassed that he did that.
Yeah.
That he just went to a blind
And
range
then
and
he
just started
did just
killing.
the little superficial cuts to...
Yeah. So they were saying that the bird watchers that were originally like, you know, they stumbled across, they said they did see a blonde haired man walking away from the scene, but I mean it's Finland, so mostly everybody is blonde haired and white.
Hey,
it's Finland. It's the truth. So anybody could have been walking away, and they would have been a suspect. Yeah. So that wasn't, you know, a big help or anything. Neil's defense dismissed the claims that him and Seppo got into a fight, because like I said, they said if they got into a fight and he was injured in the fight, like why he wouldn't be able to walk his clothes. So because of that, Niels was acquitted of all of those charges a year after his arrest. But they're still suspicious of him. And even after that, there have been no other suspects brought in. So it is still an unsolved case.
Jeez.
Niels could have done it, but it could have been
get a deathbed confession.
Okay, it could be from him or one of the many
murderers that murderers living in a pan-written forest.
That's messed up.
Right.
That's messed up.
Wow.
So that was that, guys. Rest in peace to Anna, to Mila, and to Seppo.
Yikes.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're going to start wrapping this up, y'all.
Yeah.
You've been with us for about an hour and 15 minutes.
Yes.
We appreciate it.
We're down to the last two, boo.
The do.
Yes.
Okay. Let me talk about the alleged, I don't know, supposed inspiration for the Friday the 13th movies.
Yes.
Now, this is about the Oklahoma Girl Scout murders.
Pause. Go support your local Girl Scout troop. Cookie sales are up now.
Yeah.
And I've already purchased 10 boxes, which is crazy.
Want some coconut, the coconut whatever.
Yeah, them Samoas.
Yeah. I want some tagalongs.
I don't like those.
What?
No.
I like the pecan thingies.
I don't even know what those are.
They like butter cookies with pecans or something like that. Just know that I'm gonna be fat by the summer. Anyways,
she means forever a thing.
A snack.
Well, I was trying to do the FAT.
Oh.
Forever.
Temptation.
A temptation. Okay.
Yeah. All right, y'all. So, the Oklahoma Girl Scout murders. Now, I said this was about the rape and murders of Lori Lee Farmer, only of the age of 8.
It's always so disturbing when you hear stories about kids.
Yes. Michelle Heather Goose, age 9, and Doris Denise Milner, age 10. Very sad. On the Monday morning of June 13th, 1977, the girls were camping at Camp Scott in Mays County, Oklahoma. Now, though the crime didn't take place on Friday the 13th, it's believed that this case was the inspiration for the premise of the Friday the 13th movies. And after the rape and murders, the girls were left on a trail that led to the campsite's showers not too far away from their tent. The reason I definitely want to dive deeper into this one is because less than 2 months before the murders, there was like an on-site training for the camp counselors, the camp, teachers or whatever you call them. And one of the camp counselors, she had like a bag and she had like a box of donuts. Well, the bag and the box of donuts, they had just been ransacked, thrown all over, and just the donuts were eaten or something. And then inside of the empty donut box, there's a note. It's written in all caps, and it says, "We are on a mission to kill 3 girls, intent 1." Now, the camp director treats the note as a prank.
Yeah, of course, because it's always a prank when they threaten to kill children.
And okay,
in a specific tent.
3 girls in a specific tent. And she threw the note away. I'm through. Okay. So there's a suspect that the police immediately go for, and it's an escapee from prison.
What?
Why would you suspect this escapee from prison when there was a note predetermining or predicting that 3 girls are going to be killed in a specific tent, and that nigga was in prison?
It's giving cult.
Ooh.
It's giving cult. Because, you know, sometimes people like to live in the wilderness and seclude themselves and do strange things.
And they were on a mission. So this murder hadn't been solved. And so we are going to get into all the suspects. We're going to dive deeper into that note. And we're going to just talk about the complete case in full detail. So you guys are not going to want to miss that.
Yes.
That was disturbing.
People are sick.
But number one,
let me tell y'all about this. It's like I said before, it's always disturbing when people harm little kids. Like, what's the point? Like, why are you doing that?
Defenseless. They don't do nothing to you but annoy you maybe sometimes. Right. But
all the time, not sometimes. Like, because my kids be annoying me. And I just be like, ooh, somebody give me a drink.
She don't mean that.
I definitely do. So, number 1 that made the top of the mother-sucking list is this nigga named David McGreevy. He was also known as the Monster of Worcestershire. Worcestershire. Yes. Worcester. I think it's Worcester.
Girl,
I don't even know how to say it. I'm sorry. I just be messing up words, and I try to learn it, and I just keep messing up. So, this man,
this monster.
I'm gonna skip the details. I'm gonna skip the details of his beginnings, and I'm gonna just hop all the way down to to this thing. So he was living at the time with his friend Clive Ralph and his wife Elsie.
Yeah.
So Elsie at the time, they already had 2 children. And she was pregnant with her third. Mm-hmm. So it was Paul, which was the oldest. So I think he was 4. Mm-hmm. Then Dawn was 2, and then she was pregnant with the third one.
Okay.
So David lived with them. He helped them out because he was kicked out of his parents' house. And they allowed him to pay rent.
Oh, so he was a bum.
Yes.
Okay.
They allowed him to pay rent for one of the rooms in the house. So Clive was a truck driver. His wife was a waitress, but while she was pregnant, she stayed home.
Yeah.
So when she had her third baby, which was named Samantha, she decided she was going to go back to work. And so David, I think, ended up quitting his job, and he just stayed at home and became the caretaker for their children. So it said that he absolutely loved their children. Their children loved him. But the issue that David had, a habit that he had picked up when he was in the military, was he became a really heavy drinker. They said that he wasn't a violent drunk when he got drunk, but he was angry. But he wasn't violent. He was just angry with people.
Okay.
So one night, while Elsie is at work, Clive, he was the one to go pick her up from work. He would go pick her up. He would help her close. He would have a beer while he was there waiting on her to close, and then they would go on home.
Closing time.
Yes. Ooh, that's going on 2023 playlist. But yeah, so he would go pick her up, whatever. So this night he went to go pick her up like he normally did. But before he did, he went to go pick David up from a bar. David was drunk. He knew that David was drunk, but he was like, hey, I'm going to go ahead and take you home. Just sit with the kids while I go. I was thinking the same thing. When I was like, why? I said, why? I said, now why? Right? So he drops David off at the house. He goes to get Elsie. They're doing their thing. Well, mind you, like I said, David was an angry drunk, but he was not violent. Well, this night he got violent. The baby, who was 8 months old, Samantha, was crying.
Yeah.
Right? So she, in her crying, I guess annoyed David to the point to where he got so upset with her that he crushed her skull and killed her.
Girl.
He did not stop there. He then went over to 2-year-old Dawn and he slit her throat. He did not stop there. He then went over to 4-year-old Paul and he took a wire and he strangled Paul to death.
Oh my gosh.
He did not stop there. After he murdered them, he went down to the basement. He got a pickaxe, came back up, and just had at it with their little bodies. Did not stop there. After that,
I'm speechless.
I am too. After that, he then took the children's dead bodies and impaled them on the spikes of a nearby neighbor's fence.
Jesus Christ.
And then he just walked away as if nothing happened.
I am beside myself.
Yes. So when Clive and Elsie came home, they had saw that the cops were like surrounding their house. And so they're thinking like, Elsie's like, oh my God, something must have happened to my parents or whatever. And that the kids and David were like in the house. So I'm assuming her parents either lived nearby, or probably lived in the house with them. But she was thinking something happened to her parents. Well, the cops took her and Clive down to the station, explained to them what happened to their children, and then said that they could not find David because he just walked away. He just walked away. And so when they were like going down the neighborhood searching, they were still in front of because I think their last name was Ralph. So they were in front of the Ralph's house and they saw David just walking back towards the house as if nothing happened.
You girl, you lying.
No. They arrested him and then
I promise you, if I was them kids as parents, he wouldn't have made it to jail.
Do you understand me?
He would not have made it to be arrested. I would have made it to jail because he would have been dead.
Okay.
He would have been dead.
Dead as a doorknob.
Girl, wow.
So yeah, so they went on arrested him, and then he at first was like, I don't even know, I didn't do that. But then after a while, he admitted to murdering them. And guess what? He had no explanation on why he did this. He just did it. He just did it. He just took his anger out on these children. So he was sentenced to 3 life sentences with a minimum of 20 years each. But then guess what? He was released in 2018 after serving only 45 years in prison. Only 45 years in prison. He is still according to my research, he's still out and about doing, life or whatever.
And where the parents at? Because why is he still alive?
Yeah.
That's my question.
He's still out and about doing his thing.
Okay,
of course he in a boot. But yeah, he's still around kicking and living well.
He would not
but
be
he
kicking.
tries to stay out of the public eye because the people know who he is.
And that is my thing. I don't even if I wasn't them kids' parents, you impaled
my children after you killed them viciously and pickaxed their bodies.
Anybody and everybody, it should be on site with him.
Okay.
It should be on site with him.
On site.
Wow, bro.
On site.
Wow.
On site. So that was our top 13 for 13.
Did that one happen on Friday the 13th?
That one I don't think happened on Friday the 13th. But it was just, it gave Good Friday the 13th. Spooks.
Yeah, it did. Wow.
So, yeah.
Wow.
But y'all, a lot of these stories, we would like to go into depth.
Yeah, but y'all let us know if y'all would like us to go in depth.
Yes. And also, y'all can send some suggestions.
Do send some suggestions.
Yes, and you can send those to
the Nosy Hens Podcast at gmail.com.
Yes. You could also reach us on all of the socials
at the Nosy Hens Podcast. Man,
yes.
Y'all think I could do voiceovers?
You could.
Okay.
You definitely could. You definitely could. Y'all hung in there with
Yes.
It's been I'm looking like, ooh, this is an hour and a half.
Okay, that's
I ain't
good.
never talked that much.
You know what? I think it's appropriate for our season premiere.
Yes, it is.
And if you hung out with us, use a real one.
Yes, you are.
So
yes, you are.
What we gonna do is we gonna keep it funky. We gonna keep bringing y'all the heat this season.
So hot.
Okay, we gonna be sizzling it up in the chicken coop.
Yes.
Okay.
Like a piece of Popeye's chicken.
Yeah. We don't eat ourselves.
Let me tell you.
Is you
yes,
a cannibal?
I do. Yep. Get that Mike's honey hot or hot honey.
Oh Lord.
Because I saw the girl on TikTok. She put that honey on there, and then she put that Nashville seasoning on there.
Ooh.
And then she got a pepperoni and she sprinkled a little bit on there, and she had that crispy fried chicken.
Yeah.
Let me tell you something. I could eat chicken every day.
This girl.
I could eat me
Don't
some
eat chicken in the chicken coop.
Well, I ain't gonna eat it in the chicken coop because I can't do that.
All
but
right,
I can't
y'all.
eat it on my plate in my kitchen.
Yeah. It's your prerogative.
Yes.
You can do what you want to do.
Yeah.
All right, y'all. We done kept y'all long enough.
Right.
We love you. We will see you next week. That's hen for goodbye.
Bye.